Hello and welcome to another episode of Not for Nothing. I'm your host, Sarah ElSayed, and I'm here with Natasha. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the increasing number of white women just absolutely losing their mind on planes.
Apparently also... I'm speechless from this intro. It caught me off guard there, and I absolutely love it.
I know you wanted it. I just had to fulfill your wishes.
I think all of our intros need to be sung. So I was reading the news, and apparently studies are showing that there's an increasing number of white women who are having psychotic breaks on airplanes.
Yep. I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised either.
The white women have been having psychotic breaks in general, and it's bound to happen on airplanes. There are a lot of things that I think are not real about the travel experience, for real. It's crazy. It's really crazy. But I do want us to recall the original white woman freaking out on a plane in Bridesmaids. In the movie Bridesmaids.
Oh my God.
There's a colonial woman on the wing. Exactly. It's been happening. It's been happening.
It's one of my favorite movies with my sister.
I'm not kidding. I think that movie actually made me cry laughing, like in the theater the first time I saw it.
It's absolutely crazy.
Too funny.
But yeah, I think she really spearheaded the public display of freak outage on airplanes. And I also just think in general, first of all, this is a bigger problem, but airplanes need to start limiting the alcohol distribution.
Like, why is it happening at all?
Why is it happening at all?
None of us need to be consuming really much of anything. Just chill
give
the fuck
everybody
out.
a gummy and we'll all be fine. If
Bring
they
your
want
own
it.
Gummies. Take them before you get there.
Could you imagine?
Enjoy the ride.
In business class Delta Sky Miles, you get a little THC gummy.
That would actually be fire initiative.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. Let us know if we can make that happen.
It's pretty crazy. I will say, though, I'm so embarrassed and really ashamed for humankind, but I'm incredibly entertained.
By?
These women having meltdowns on airplanes.
Which one's your favorite?
Who's the most recent one? It wasn't even on the plane. It was at the airport bar.
What happened?
She was like, she had to be physically removed because she was like running around barefoot, like talking to people. And then they found out that she's like actually this like spiritual influencer. Like,
oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, it was one of those.
Okay. There's a few things about bare feet, and it's weird because I am a barefoot kind of gal.
The pinkies are out.
It could sound like I just like wearing sandals in the summer, and I like wearing boots in the winter. In my house, I don't really wear slippers. I'm a barefoot kind of gal. I like being barefoot.
House barefoot all the time.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But for those people who think it's okay to be barefoot in a place that's not like, that's objectively a public space.
That is a place of transit.
And a place of transit, that has to be the most filthy thing you can absolutely do. Although, like, you know, we're talking about white women freaking out on planes. I saw a white woman face down sleeping at the airport on the floor in front of the chairs. And I'm like, I don't care how crazy your layover is. Don't you ever do that again.
You're going to get pink eye.
Like,
she's putting her face where people put their pooper.
People like that start pink eye. You know what I'm saying? Like, they start like a different strain of pink eye.
A resistant type.
A resistant type. It's not okay.
It's terrifying.
There's people walking barefoot on that floor. There's spiritual white girl healers walking barefoot on that floor that your other white girl face is laying on.
It's
nuts.
It's terrifying. But it's very fun to watch. I'm very sorry for everybody on airplanes who has to witness that.
I'm sorry for people who have to travel around white women in airports.
On behalf of white women. On behalf of neurotic white women.
Do better.
Like, we can do better. We will do better. And I'm very sorry.
Do you remember the app YikYak?
Yeah. How could I forget?
That was a very traumatizing experience
It was
for all involved.
It was such a weird era of life. It was not like I mean, how would you even describe it to the young ones in the audience who don't even...
Yeah, I don't know if it exists anymore, and if it does, it should be gone. There's like, it was this app that went viral at college, on college campuses mostly, and you were able to talk anonymously and post whatever you want, and people would just use it as a means of cyberbullying and being really disgustingly rude, and to honestly out people and to do a whole bunch of really crazy things. True or not, it was crazy. It was so bad.
Very different experience.
Really?
Yeah. Us, it was all just like I feel like it was the beginning of like Twitter banter.
Mm-hmm.
It was right after Facebook status had disappeared. You know, I feel like people graduated onto YikYak and people were just like, at least at my school.
Were they signing off who they were?
Maybe I also just like didn't have or follow that many people on it.
No, it was a public forum based on your geolocation.
Oh, geolocation, that's what it was. Yeah, I feel like everybody around me was just doing like very funny stuff, and you would just hear about very stupid shit about like somebody took a shit in the library bathroom and didn't flush.
Right. True. There was things like that were like embarrassing, but to nobody specific.
But I could see how it could then be used for evil.
It was used for so much evil on my campus.
Yeah, I feel like
it was really a nightmare place.
I stopped using it like quickly. I was not a long adopter.
Yeah, totally. It was like a fad too. It's not like people like stayed on that throughout college. It was like...
It was 2013, 2014. So that was my freshman and sophomore year.
That's my like sophomore, junior year.
But yeah, oh my God. In the description, they're talking about how it was really criticized because of the dissemination of racism, anti-Semitism, sexism, and the facilitation of cyberbullying.
It was really a scary place.
Wow, I didn't remember it that way, and that really changes everything.
Yep.
But it was a weird platform.
It was so weird.
It was so goofy for a hot second.
Fucking nuts. I wanted to talk a little bit about like, you know, just to jump back into the plane discussion. I was sitting next to like potentially a big influencer or potentially a very micro influencer.
Was she wearing sunglasses?
She was wearing sunglasses.
So unclear, you know? Are you famous? Do you think you're famous? Do you look like a famous person? Right. Or are you a douchebag?
Exactly. And I think it was the absolute most latter.
And honestly, none of it is mutually exclusive.
None of it is mutually exclusive. There can be Venn diagram crossover here. But this one, I think, I'm not sure of her audience, but I know that she was some kind of somebody.
Yeah.
But she was an economy with me. Like, I will mention that.
So, like...
yeah, the perception doesn't match the attitude at all. And we say this as somebody also in front of the camera. It's not an excuse to treat people shittily. When people act like I work for them, when I don't even know them, especially, it's one thing if you're a friend or something, like, and you know, you kind of, I don't want to say bark, but like if someone asks something of you that seems like an overstep, it's one thing if it's friends or family or someone you know. You
like address it. You're like, I'm not your bitch.
Yeah, like, okay, like I'll do this for you as a favor maybe, or I won't do this. You know, you communicate through it. When someone acts like you work for them and you don't even know them, I'm going to tell you how I assert my boundaries. So when on the plane, as soon as I get on, she asks me, hey, are you going to use your blanket? Like within 3 minutes of me sitting down, because I put it in front of my thing. And I was just like, you can have it. Because frankly, plain blankets gross me out anyway. Because they're not cleaned very well at all. So she grabs the blankets, sit totally over her head. She's like hiding on the plane the whole time. And she's talking.
She can't be perceived.
And she's taking calls.
Next level
she's taking
sunglasses.
Selfies. She was doing all types of shit. Yeah, I'm on the plane. You know, like mentioning that she's on the plane. Saying that she doesn't want to do a brand deal anymore. Talking to God knows who on the other end. She's like, we need to cancel the brand deal. Like literally speaking like that, like full on either Delu or bitchy actual influencer.
Goddamn.
And then she asked me to get the attention of the steward.
Yeah.
And after he had like ignored her on purpose, she was just like, is the Wi-Fi working? He was like, can I get you a drink? And she's like, is the Wi-Fi working? And he's like, it should be working. And this was like 20 minutes before we landed. So it's like, why do you care if the Wi-Fi is working? Just chill out until we land. And he's like, it should be. If it's not, it could be spotty. And she's like, what's the website I have to go to? And then he's asking the person on the other side, like, can I get you a drink? And then she just goes, will you get him for me? And I was like, I think he knows you want his attention, and I think you could get his attention yourself. I just straight up basically said, no, I'm not going to get his attention because you're being fucking annoying.
And what did she say?
Not a goddamn word. She got her attention on her own. And then she asked the guy in front of us to help us with her bag.
I hate people who ask for help with their bags.
For no reason.
For no reason. No.
For no reason.
No. Let's be clear. For no
if
reason.
You need help, it's one thing. We already went over this.
We've had the airplane etiquette conversation. You should offer if it helps to move things along. But if it doesn't, like...
Get over yourself,
Get over yourself.
Please. Please.
Okay, so what are some other ways that you like to tell people or get people to stop asking you to do things?
I would say that, like, you simply say you're busy whenever possible or act busy, you know? So, like, a way that situation could have gone is, like, I'll put my headphones in and pretend I don't hear her. You know, avoid it completely. Or... like, I would, be like, I'm busy that day. If somebody's asking you to do something that violates a boundary, communication mostly, or lack of communication. You don't owe people shit.
I know, that's what my mom does. She does the selective hearing.
Yep.
She pretends she doesn't hear stuff.
She's like, I'm not participating in that conversation.
She's like, oh, okay, whatever.
It's below me.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's how I felt. Yep.
I fucking hate people on planes.
They act like their worst selves.
I don't understand what it is about the atmospheric, like the cabin pressure or something. It just makes people be the absolute worst version of themselves.
It has to be anxiety. It has to be like evolutionary anxiety for real, because it's like not natural to be flying through the air, and it like resists all of the things our body knows as like grounding.
Yeah, maybe.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we're literally flying into the air. We don't have wings. We don't have, like, gravity says that we should be down, like it's going against everything we naturally feel. But maybe that's why people are freaking the fuck out.
Yeah, we need to solve this issue because I feel like it's getting worse.
Travel's getting worse and worse.
I can't be having more of these people having meltdowns on planes.
Like, no, thank you, for real.
Absolutely no. But speaking of inappropriate trends going around these days.
Yes.
There's this new trend I've been seeing on TikTok called the Tism Rizz. And it's pretty weird. Like, I definitely think that there's a increase in like self-diagnosed autism going around due to social media. Obviously, part of it is great because it's like promoting awareness, like normalizing the conversation about all of this, like destigmatizing, all these things are really important. But I also think like self-identifying on a real disorder or syndrome.
Yeah, but in a way it's like, okay, technically autism isn't like necessarily treatable. Like, I guess it could be behaviorally treatable, and it can be like treatable through different types of therapies.
Yeah.
But it's not something you would necessarily take a medication for. So it's not like I think it's that bad. I think maybe it's helping people become more tolerant of those who actually are neurodivergent.
Exactly.
And I think more like,
the conversation has been really interesting around like more people being open about it.
Yeah.
Where it's been getting weird is these people associating their quirks to the Tism Rizz.
Yes.
Which
is also kind of funny.
It's kind of funny. And we all kind of have it, especially in the neurotic community.
Yes.
But it's interesting. I feel like it shows how much we've evolved almost.
Yeah.
But it also worries me I wonder when is the second shoe gonna drop, and where can this become negative?
Ooh, interesting. I don't know about that. I can see as like more things. I'm hoping that the world becomes more like accessible for people who are on some form of the spectrum, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe like it could be better for the world. Like maybe things will become more accessible.
Agreed. And there's already like so many more like types of jobs that are being created and training programs, and that's like really dope.
And with that said, it could also be harmful in a way that like AI could maybe start taking over like true therapies that were not only people's jobs, but like I guess techniques that can't necessarily be replicated by a human. So
that's interesting to think about AI in that realm.
Yeah, I guess that's where it could be really damaging. And then of course the total opposite end of things is like people who aren't of a neurodivergent experience and like are making things a little bit less accessible for those who are neurodivergent because they're like milking things that they don't want to do. Like, oh, I'm not going to work the cash register because I'm on the spectrum and like it's just hard for me. Like if it's like a person who isn't suffering from that, like, might make it harder for somebody who's a counterpart.
Agreed. And that's what I'm worried about with this like Tism Rizz, like these TikToks and all these people making these like funny like trend videos on this song. And they're just like clearly pointing out characteristics of themselves that are stereotypical expressions of autism when it's so much more than just like no eye contact or like, sensory.
Or not being able to read a room. They like stereotypes of neurodivergence.
Exactly. And so it's kind of interesting. It's definitely a very Gen Z situation going on. It is.
They're kind of funny about, mental health. They're doing what we couldn't.
Exactly.
It's funny.
I think back on like my time in high school, and I think about how insensitive a lot of our teachers and some of the kids were when it came to stuff like that.
It's so different now.
And I think about it now and I'm like, wow, they would literally be like fired and sued for not having created more accessible learning places.
Yep, 100%.
Like they would literally make fun of kids who had ADD who needed like computers or stuff like that, or like dyslexic kids.
Yep.
And I'm like, you're just openly mocking them. Like, how is this?
And bullying sometimes.
It's traumatizing.
It is.
So it's definitely interesting to see. But
so speaking of accessibility, one feature of accessibility that I'm obsessed with, although I'm fortunate enough to not need it, makes my life so much better. Closed captioning.
I love closed captions.
Love it. I love it on TikTok. I think that we personally do include it on our clips and everything that we do, because it's for people who not only are hypersensitive or might not be able to listen to it out loud, or might be sensitive to honestly watching the sounds, or, excuse me, or people who can't hear or have difficulties hearing,
or people who are respectful of others around them and who don't want to pollute the sound,
Yep, the sound air.
Like, if I know you want to watch our TikToks on the subway, but you don't want to annoy everybody on the subway.
Yep.
Isn't it fun that there's closed captions?
I want closed captioning on my reality TV. I want it whether or not it's in a language I understand.
Oh, that's my favorite. I need closed captions for Harry Potter and like any like British or like UK shows.
Yeah, true.
Like, for example, Peaky Blinders.
Or Too Hot to Handle.
Yeah, like I can, especially when it's like, or Skins, like these shows that are more like countryside.
Yeah. They have a more like aggressive accent.
What the fuck are you saying?
Cockney, yeah.
I'm like, holy shit, like I need the closed captions.
Yeah, I totally feel that. Or like, a lot of TV shows have been like dubbing over. Like I think I watched The Ultimatum like Portugal or Brazil or something. Cool. And like they dub it over with voice, and I also want closed captions.
My favorite meme though is like I forget how it goes. It's like I turned the music down because the weed was too loud.
Word.
And sometimes that's how I feel too. I'm like, I am so zooted that I feel like I'm hearing, like, I can't hear well, so I need the closed captions.
Yeah. It's also like when you're driving in the car and like the music is on, but you need to focus, like you need to like turn it down a little bit and be like, okay, I know where I'm going now.
Yeah, like when you're like going through like a dicey intersection where it's like you may have to take a left over a few lanes, so you're just like, okay,
let's put
hold
the music
on.
down.
Yeah, let's turn the music. And
Chill
that's
out.
how I feel sometimes when I'm baked watching TV. I'm like, all right, let's get these words going.
Yes, exactly.
But it's my favorite. And it's funny because my mother is hard of hearing now. And so she also does
closed captions.
Yeah. And so I feel like
they're good for everyone.
It's just good for everybody. Every generation. It really is the bond, the glue that brings everybody together.
Yeah, I agree. So thanks for tuning in to another episode of Not For Nothing. You can find us at Not For Nothing Pod across all platforms. You could find me at How Can I Help You?
And you can follow me at Natasha PRZ or Pussyweed.
We'll see you next Tuesday for another episode.